All right, let's talk about diabetes and diabetes prevention. My name is Mohammed Ashori, MD. I'm a board certified family medicine physician talking about healthy aging. And healthy aging is about preventing the most common conditions that we are at risk for. So, one of the main things that we're at risk for, of course, is diabetes. Now, specifically, I'm going to focus on type 2 diabetes. So the question is, what should you do in your particular situation? Because you could exercise, you could eat better, you could take a supplement. But we know that the number one way to decrease your chance of developing diabetes is to have a healthy weight, is to have a good body composition, which can be done with a DEXA scan. There are many other ways to measure somebody's body composition. So the number one thing to prevent diabetes, if you have a normal body weight, if you have a good body composition, a good amount of muscle mass to a good amount of subcutaneous fat and very little visceral fat, the risk of you developing diabetes, even with a very strong family history, is incredibly low. So let's say you already have a perfect weight. Well, the other two that I'm going to mention, because we're going to talk about three things, are not as important, but imagine you do carry extra weight. Well, what are then the next steps? What are the other two things that you can do that are incredibly effective? So exercise is the next one on the list. So what kind of exercise? How much activity do I need? Well, actually, activity is much more important than exercise. If you're walking every day, doing house chores, moving furniture around, if you have an active job, it's probably really good it's probably a really good thing for your metabolic system, and it's going to decrease your chance of developing type 2 diabetes. Now, if you have a very sedentary job, it's probably important to add in some activity throughout your day. If you're going to choose between resistance training and cardio, I would say probably resistance training, because your muscles are active tissues in your body, and they can actually take up some of that glucose and prevent it from sticking around in the bloodstream. So again, number one, just be active. If you can't do that, number two is to do resistance training. And if you can't do that, do some aerobic exercises, of course. The last one on the list, I know you saw this one coming, is your nutrition. So I don't like to use the word diet because, well, diets sometimes are more temporary, but a nutrition plan means that you're going to cut out the things that are likely to spike your sugar. The more you spike your sugar throughout your life, the more likely it is that you, as we say, burn out your pancreas, though the reality is it's more complicated with your insulin hormones, ghrelin hormones, and your glucagon hormones, and creating that insulin resistance, which then of course spirals down to develop diabetes. So what I would actually advise is that you cut out those processed foods, the things that have a lot of carbs. So chips and cookies and crackers and sugar, those things tend to spike your blood sugar quite a bit, especially when it's on an empty stomach and you haven't done anything else and you're just stressed, where your blood sugar is already high, and then you have a bunch of sweets or chips and the salt. Well, that's going to take your blood sugar quite high and then really mess with your insulin system. So avoiding those things is probably more important, though in my practice, the way we crowd out those bad things is we introduce the good things. So a good healthy diet of nuts and seeds and beans and vegetables and even healthy starches are absolutely a must. All right, guys, that's the three top ways to prevent type 2 diabetes. Now, I have type 2 diabetes running in my family, so it's a topic that I discuss with a lot of my family members, and it's been proven to be effective at preventing it. Leave comments below. Have you experienced diabetes in your family, and what are your personal goals to help prevent type 2 diabetes?